The Enchanted Cake House. In a quaint little village called Sweetville, there lived a young girl named Clara. Clara loved sweets, especially cakes. She spent her days helping her mother in their small bakery, dreaming of finding the perfect recipe for the most delicious cake ever. One sunny afternoon, while exploring the edge of the village, Clara discovered a narrow, winding path that she had never noticed before. Curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to follow it. After walking for a while, she stumbled upon something extraordinary, a house made entirely of cake. The walls were made of layers of sponge cake, the roof was covered in chocolate frosting, and the windows were made of colorful sugar glass. Clara couldn't believe her eyes. She carefully took a small piece of the wall and tasted it. It was the most delicious cake she had ever eaten. As Clara stood in awe of the cake house, the front door slowly opened, and out stepped a small, round man made entirely of biscuits. He had a friendly smile and wore a hat made of whipped cream. "Hello there. I'm Mr. Biscuit, the guardian of the cake house," he said with a cheerful voice. "What brings you to this magical place?" Clara introduced herself and explained how she loved baking and had followed the path out of curiosity. Mr. Biscuit welcomed her warmly and invited her inside the cake house. The inside of the house was even more enchanting. There were rooms filled with every kind of cake imaginable: lemon drizzle, red velvet, carrot cake, and many more. The furniture was made of gingerbread, and the air was filled with the sweet aroma of freshly baked treats. Mr. Biscuit led Clara to the heart of the cake house, a cozy kitchen with a large, old-fashioned stove. In the center of the kitchen was a book resting on a pedestal. It was no ordinary book. It was the Magic Cookbook. "This book holds the secret recipes for all the cakes in the world," Mr. Biscuit explained. "But it can only be used by someone with a pure heart and a true love for baking." Clara's eyes widened with excitement. She couldn't believe she was standing before the legendary Magic Cookbook. Mr. Biscuit opened the book to a blank page, and to Clara's amazement, words began to appear on the page. "The book senses your love for baking," Mr. Biscuit said. "It will guide you to create the most wonderful cakes. But remember, the true magic of baking lies in the joy it brings to others." The first recipe the book revealed was for a rainbow layer cake. Clara eagerly gathered the ingredients, which seemed to appear magically in the kitchen. She followed the instructions carefully, mixing the batter, baking the layers, and frosting the cake with vibrant colors. When she was done, the cake looked like a masterpiece. Mr. Biscuit smiled approvingly. "Now, let's share this with the villagers," he suggested. Clara agreed, and they carried the cake back to Sweetville. The villagers were amazed by the beautiful cake and eagerly lined up for a slice. As they tasted it, smiles spread across their faces. The cake was not only delicious, but also seemed to fill them with happiness. Word of the magical cake spread quickly, and soon, bakers from neighboring villages came to Sweetville to see Clara and taste her cakes. Some were envious and challenged her to a baking contest, hoping to prove their own skills. Clara was nervous, but accepted the challenge. Mr. Biscuit assured her that the Magic Cookbook would help her. The contest was held in the village square, with everyone eagerly watching. Clara decided to make a giant chocolate fountain cake. The recipe from the Magic Cookbook was intricate, but she followed it with confidence. As she worked, she noticed that the other bakers were struggling with their cakes. When the cakes were finished, the judges, including Mr. Biscuit, tasted each one. Clara's cake was declared the winner. The fountain of chocolate that flowed from the top of the cake was a spectacular sight, and the taste was heavenly. After the contest, Clara's fame grew, and more people visited the cake house. One day, a mysterious woman arrived. She introduced herself as Mrs. Honeydew, a famous confectioner from a faraway land. She had heard of Clara's magical cakes and wanted to share a secret with her. Mrs. Honeydew revealed that there were enchanted ingredients scattered across the world, each with unique properties that could make cakes even more extraordinary. She gave Clara a map showing the locations of these ingredients. Clara was thrilled and decided to embark on a journey to find them. Mr. Biscuit offered to accompany her. Together, they set off on an adventure, traveling through enchanted forests, over shimmering lakes, and up mystical mountains. Their first stop was the Sugar Crystal Cave. The cave was hidden in a dense forest and guarded by sweet creatures called sugar sprites. Clara and Mr. Biscuit had to solve a riddle to gain entry. Once inside, they found the walls covered in glittering sugar crystals. They collected a few, knowing they would add a magical sparkle to their cakes. The sugar sprites bid them farewell, wishing them luck on their quest. Next, they traveled to Vanilla Bean Valley, a beautiful place filled with vanilla orchids. The air was filled with the rich, sweet scent of vanilla. Clara and Mr. Biscuit carefully harvested the vanilla beans, which were known to enhance the flavor of any cake. The valley was guarded by gentle vanilla fairies who blessed Clara's baking skills. They thanked the fairies and continued their journey. The final stop was the cocoa tree forest. The trees here produced the finest cocoa beans in the world. Clara and Mr. Biscuit had to climb the tall trees to gather the beans. It was hard work, but they knew it would be worth it. As they collected the cocoa beans, they met the cocoa elves, who shared their knowledge of making the perfect chocolate. With their help, Clara learned new techniques that would make her chocolate cakes even more delicious. With their enchanted ingredients, Clara and Mr. Biscuit returned to Sweetville. The villagers were excited to see them and eager to taste the new cakes Clara would create. Using the sugar crystals, vanilla beans, and cocoa beans, Clara baked a magnificent cake called the Enchanted Delight. The cake was a masterpiece, sparkling with sugar crystals, infused with rich vanilla, and layered with the finest chocolate. When the villagers tasted it, they were filled with joy and amazement. The enchanted ingredients made the cake truly magical. To celebrate their adventure and the wonderful cakes, Clara and Mr. Biscuit decided to host a grand feast in Sweetville. They invited everyone from near and far to join in the celebration. The village square was decorated with colorful banners and tables filled with cakes and sweets. People from all over came to taste Clara's cakes and enjoy the festivities. There was music, dancing, and laughter. The highlight of the feast was when Clara revealed the Enchanted Delight cake. Everyone agreed it was the most delicious cake they had ever eaten. As the celebration continued, Clara realized that the true magic of the cake house and the enchanted ingredients was not just in their taste, but in the joy and happiness they brought to people. Baking was not just about making delicious cakes, but about sharing love and bringing people together. Mr. Biscuit smiled, knowing that Clara had learned the most important lesson of all. The magic cookbook had chosen her because of her kind heart and genuine love for baking. Clara promised to always use her skills to make others happy. With the enchanted ingredients and the magic cookbook, Clara continued to create amazing cakes, spreading joy and happiness wherever she went. The cake house became a place where people came not just for the delicious cakes, but for the warmth and love they felt there. Clara's fame as a baker grew, but she remained humble and kind. She always remembered the lesson she had learned and continued to bake with a pure heart. Mr. Biscuit stayed by her side, and together, they made the cake house a place of magic and wonder. And so, the story of Clara and the Enchanted Cake House became a legend in Sweetville, reminding everyone that the greatest magic in baking comes from the love and joy it brings to others.